Hello, my name is Brandon, and welcome to Retro Reactions, a place where I experience amazing music from the 70s, 80s, and 90s for the very first time. And today we have another 1/3 new artist alert for the channel. Yes, we're headed all the way back to 1986 to listen to The Miracle by English progressive rock band Emerson, Lake and Powell. And this one comes from Emerson, Lake and Powell, their first and only studio album, which hit number 23 in the US and number 35 in the UK. Lyrics by Greg Lake and music by Keith Emerson. What a combination there. The poignant lyrics seem to be describing the battle between good and evil in this troubled, wide world, using vivid imagery and deep emotions and actions to tell the story. Let's go. And I hear that Cozy is a decent drummer. Okay, obviously that's an understatement. I'm sure he gels perfectly with the other two gentlemen, like salmon, butter, and lemon. Transition. Gorgeous.
So here we stand between the gates. On the dawn, the eagle waits. His talons shine like daggers on the wings of revolution. In pain, the madman staggers, but there is no solution. Another sword upon the throne. Now the jester laughs alone. Beneath this cloak of treason appears 1,000 faces. The truth must stand a reason for those whose heart it chases. Beyond the compass where the lords assemble. Beyond the world of mortal man. Within this sanctuary, the spectre begins to tremble. They lay a spear upon the plan. On a sea of diamonds lies a ship of glass. Through the mist the torches pass. Their banners fly in splendor. The ghosts of night descended. With grace their souls surrender. The seal must be defended. Still the dragons reign supreme. Breathing fire till we scream. They leave us nothing but our dreams. No shield can save us. It's gonna take a miracle. We're searching for a miracle. It's gonna take a miracle. We're searching for a miracle. Stand here. There's a storm above, there is something left to fear. All speed. Before the blade is drawn, there is blood upon the sea. Let no one yield. We're on the field where deeds eclipse the sun.
What a cool final sound there. Just reminding us what amazing, epic keys are just painted all across this landscape, this musical atmosphere, this humongous atmosphere soaring into the heavens. I must say I loved it. I'm sure you're not surprised. And I completely disagree with all the reviews I read. I mean, there was just a few. I didn't go into too much depth. Some people said the lyrics were cheesy. Some people said it dragged on. I completely disagree. Of course, everyone's opinion is valid, but I loved this introduction into E.L. Powell. Okay, I don't think I've ever done this quite this way before, but I got to go back and hear that transition. So we're going to hear a little bit of Learning to Fly. Orgasmic for sure. I love when songs not only transition but blend together, like sometimes my backgrounds blend from one to the other. I was hearing the final chord here, this one started, this one's still going through that one. Absolutely beautiful. To me, that's just perfection. Like some of you said, I'm sure every song on this album is excellent, especially since it's the only album they did. Anyway, that atmospheric intro almost sounded like a bell, but I think it was just notes. I don't know. I'm kind of overwhelmed right now. It was stunning. Didn't last long, maybe 10, 15 seconds. And then boom, we get this regal, huge, grand instrumentation that takes over. Of course, I was adoring the song already. Another complaint I read is there was too much reverb. You know, for me, there's no such thing. I started hearing the song. I'm like, yes, this is going to be reverb heaven. It absolutely was. Some great echo as well. We'll talk about that again. Everyone firing on all cylinders, just like with Emerson, Lake and Palmer. The storytelling through the roof, the urgency through the roof. I knew it would be on this one because I did read the full lyrics. There was darkness and light in this journey, but I really loved all the sections, but that darker turn where the dragon breathing is being sung about fire, and I forgot, but you know what I'm talking about. One of my favorite sections for sure. I guess the dragon's fire got me fired up, hearing that beautiful sound, and I knew we'd get it later because of the lyrics that I read. Of course, I got a couple of amazing references. I'm sure that I'm hearing some Arena in there. I only know a few by them, but huge, epic 80s sound, reverb to the max. And then I heard hints of Genesis. I thought maybe 80s, maybe more so 90s Genesis. How perfect is that? Just overall super rich, thick electronic sound, surrounding me like an avalanche. I love that. I love the 80s vibes. I just love, who's here doing their thing, three legends. Of course, I don't know much about Cozy, but clearly he's up there with the other two. Then I enjoyed, amidst that huge epic sound throughout the song, they threw in surprises. I think I heard some kind of harp type instrument on the right, just came in. I know there was other stuff I already forgot. I heard some surprise thunder in the middle of the song. And then one of my favorite surprises was Keith's, I'm calling it a slicey organ. It just sounded very sharp, kind of came in slicing into the mix. I don't know, great tone as well. Epic all around. Greg Lake, of course, can do no wrong, especially with his voice. No exception here. His emotiveness, again, through the roof, into the sky. Even became kind of theatrical the way he was singing. Makes sense. It's a grand story. And of course, I loved the vocal echo used on his voice, used to perfection, just made everything even bigger. And then whatever happened at the 65% mark, I can't remember, but it was ethereal and absolutely monumental, the sound. It was already huge. That section seemed to get even bigger, even higher. Wow. Of course, for me, Greg and Keith in this song still at the highest tier as before. in the year 1986 with this one. But Cozy, wow, I actually knew based on reading a little bit that he would be incredible, amazing, and he was, of course. Just powerful drums to match all the other power. Insanely good. Drums into the heavens. It all made sense. It all worked for this song. I bet much of the album is like that, especially if the themes are tied together somewhat. I don't know too much about, technical side of drumming. I'm sure he plays different than Carl Palmer, but again, way up there. So I love this one, as I knew I would beforehand. Was definitely worth the wait. They've been on my list for quite a long time. And overall, I loved the different musical sections here. Yes, some repeated, went back and forth, but there was just enough variation to keep it fresh, keep it grand, and to light me up several times each time we got a new musical section. Wow, a big, perfect journey full of keys, full of power, full of emotion, full of great vocals, guitar, and drums. Of course, I was hesitant on the fence on my rating, but these ratings are for my first listen, always subject to change, just like when you guys start learning songs and hearing them multiple times. So I thought maybe I should go higher, but for now, it's getting the Epic Platinum Record Award, absolutely, for The Miracle by Emerson, Lake and Powell, 1986. And thank you so very much, the incredible legends Greg Lake, Keith Emerson, and Cozy Powell. All right, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment down below if you wish to chat about this band. I would love to know what you think. So you take care, stay safe, stay hydrated, and remember to let peace, calm, and light into your day and night. And I'll see you next time in the past.